Hello, I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and I've stayed up all night to review Star Wars The Mandalorian Chapter 2, The Child. This video will have spoilers from the second episode of The Mandalorian, so if you're staying away from spoilers, don't watch it. It's not a spoiler-free review. I don't know what to say about the episode right off the bat, other than it was badass. I was laughing the whole time. I had fun. It was ridiculous. It had the eccentricities of Star Wars that I love, and it was just so condensed and good, and it flowed seamlessly, and it was slow, but it wasn't plotting, you know? It was just a really, really well done piece of Star Wars, and I was really, really satisfied with what we got last night, especially after the first episode, which I did love as well, but it had some elements to it that made me worry, and this current episode utterly dashed those concerns. That baby Yoda is really, really cute. I'm not a person who's big on cute stuff, but that baby Yoda, man, it's pretty adorable. Up front, the very first kind of like skirmish in the episode that we have is with the Transitions as they kind of jump down and try and fight the Mando. I didn't love this moment. I didn't hate it. It was good. I mean, my favorite part was when the last Trando runs towards the baby Yoda and then gets disintegrated. I like that we kind of see the Mando use all of his arsenal throughout the episode. He's kind of like, we see, you know, the flamethrower and his knife, his gun, everything. Every single thing that he has in his arsenal is used. And up front, when you see that fight, I almost felt like it was kind of a fake out, which I liked. It was like, it felt like that was the action, but it wasn't. It was merely a footnote about what was to come. And I also thought it was really cool that he uses the like little control thing on his wrist to move the bassinet with the baby inside. It was almost like he was a Jedi, you know, pushing the baby out of the way and doing things that a Jedi would do, but it's more of a constructed tool kind of version of that. It's not spiritual, it's very gadgety, it's Batman, and I dug it. Another thing up front that I felt kind of weird about at the start was the ending of the first episode. We see the Mando kind of put his hand down and put his finger out for the little baby to play with, you know, to connect with him. And when we get to the next episode, we kind of have that TV kind of restart, where now he wants nothing to do with the kid, essentially. And it's clear that he's kind of like trying to get back into what his job is, what his mission was. So I accepted it. It didn't bother me. But I do wonder how it's going to make me view the first episode at the end. Is it going to weaken it or not? But there were things from the first episode that were introduced into this one that I think paid off. So I don't really have a huge complaint there. It was pretty funny when he is trying to like kind of like lick his wound, so to speak, and he has that giant, you know, wound on his arm, and he's trying to fix it, and the baby the whole time is trying to heal him with the Force. It's like, hey, I could do this, man. I could do this. And he's just not having it. He's not paying attention to it, and he ends up using his tools to sort of cauterize the wound. And all of that was really kind of said something about the Mando's worldview, about his spiritual worldview compared to like that of the Jedi and that kind of stuff. And I kind of liked it. I liked how it ended up because it paid off in the end. Did you ever play Super Star Wars? Because in Super Star Wars, you have to play flawlessly to get up the top of a sand crawler. And if you mess up and you fall down, Super Nintendo does not care. Super Nintendo will just make you start over. I felt like the Mandalorian was kind of living out the Super Nintendo 90s with his ascent after that sandcrawler. I loved everything about the Jawa fight. Him disintegrating Jawas was hilarious. I like, there were even like moments where he's throwing them off of the sandcrawler, but if you like watch it really slowly, it's pretty hilarious because there's like nothing in there. It's just like a dummy, but they don't care. That they knew it was funny, and they went for the gag, and I appreciated it. Also, the sound design was really funny and really good too. If you notice, like when the Jawas are throwing trash at him, you know, like if you take like a sign and you go like, you like warble it, like there was that kind of sound effect in the metal sheets going by him. And I just thought the whole thing was hilarious. Also, when the sandcrawler takes off for the first time, it like pills out kind of. And it was delightful. That's the only way I could really describe it. And it was unexpected. I didn't expect there to be this huge Mando versus Jawa episode, and I loved every second of it. Another kind of like random detail was it looked like R5-D4 was with those Jawas. So I wonder if R5-D4 has just kind of been, you know, on the show floor for all this time. Every time someone tries to buy him, he just kind of punks out, you know, bad motivator. I don't know. I'm not even sure if that was exactly him. We did see a behind the scenes photo that appeared to be R5-D4, but it looked like the paint might have been a little bit different, but either way, it made me laugh. But that whole tank chase was just really good. A really important thing I think kind of happened in this episode. In the very first episode, I noted that the Mandalorian, he's in his element. He's one step ahead of everyone the entire time until he has to ride the blurg. And that's kind of like when he's in that Tatooine wilderness. If that is Tatooine, which I assume it is, but he's in that wilderness element and it's kind of not what he's used to. He has to learn something new, he has to overcome something, and he does. Well, in this episode, he's Indiana Jones. He is continually just in over his head and fighting just to stay alive and to stay above water. And there was even a moment that I think was an homage to the tank chase from Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, where he's on the side of the sandcrawler and it goes to hit the side of the mountain and he has to roll up onto the side of the sandcrawler. It seemed to be pretty much a clear Indiana Jones reference, but I like that in this one, it wasn't like the first episode. He wasn't one step ahead of everyone. Jawas are crazy and they don't make sense, and it was unpredictable, and it was ultimately really fun. I also noticed that the baby Yoda was shot like Gizmo in Gremlins quite often. There's even a shot from Gremlins that I remember in my mind. I don't know if it really happens this way because I haven't checked it, but where Stripe and all of the evil Gremlins are about to, you know, turn into the really evil green versions of themselves. And Gizmo just kind of like has this like pitiful look on his face. I noticed the way that the Mando was on the ground and the baby Yoda was looking at him. It kind of reminded me of that same kind of pitiful, oh man, this isn't gonna go well, or this isn't going well for you kind of empathy from the little baby puppet, which I love so much. I got a little bit ahead of myself, but when the Jawas stripped the Razor Crest clean, I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was hilarious. Also, at the very end, when the Mando gets all his ship parts back, which I'm getting ahead of myself again, but you'll notice that the toilet is on the side of the hauler or the sled. I don't know what you call that thing, but on the side you see the toilet. The Jawas even stole the toilet. It was rad to see Nick Nolte's, I think you say it Kuil, I'm not sure how you say his name, but the Ugnaught. It was rad to see him back and him partaking in the Mando's little journey on helping the Mando find his way through that wilderness and through all of that turmoil. And he's ultimately the one who, you know, tells the Mando, you got to put your weapons down, dude. You can't use your guns here. But I love how the Mando does want his ship parts back. He does say, okay, I'm gonna do what you say. But when the Jawas start to mock him, he pulls out the flamethrower and tries to burn them all up. And that was just the dynamic between the Mando and the Jawas. I can't get enough of it. I watched the episode 2 times already, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get tired of watching this episode. I also thought it was kind of cool how that beast, whatever lays that egg that looks like the Reek from Attack of the Clones, there were so many elements from the Jango Fett kind of fight, and even the Anakin stuff and the Obi-Wan Anakin stuff from that movie, you know, like where he's being chased, he's being pulled by the rope, all of that kind of jazz was all pretty much Attack of the Clones. And it was kind of cool to see a Mandalorian go up against that beast, but kind of win. It was almost like he avenged Jango Fett, even though Jango's not a Mando. It's still kind of like, it felt like that. Now, Jango ate it because of kind of divine intervention in the form of Mace Windu, who's sort of like this walking god. But in this story here, the Mando almost beats the creature, but he can't, and then the baby Yoda has divine intervention and saves his life. And man, when he takes that knife out, which by the way I thought was cool, because you know Boba had that little like tool as well on the action figure like when I was a kid, so it's kind of cool. At the end he just has like this one last weapon to use against the creature, and he goes and does it, but then the baby Yoda suspends the beast in the air and then allows him to eventually kill it. And man, when he kills it, he sticks that knife in there and he kind of sticks it around a little bit. He makes sure it's dead. That was pretty brutal, but ultimately I enjoyed it because this episode was just really sadistic and it made me laugh the entire time. I do have to say though, what was up with the Reek's cave or whatever that was? It looked like a giant butt. My daughter thought it looked like the cave from The Last Jedi that Rey goes into, the dark side cave, but it looks like Tatooine's asshole. I think so far the strongest moment in the entire series so far, there's only been 2 episodes, but the strongest moment was when the Mando is down on the ground and you know he's knocked down, because you have like all of these elements coming together. That little synth ARP that goes on is really cool, and the way it zooms in on the baby and back to the Mando. The only thing I didn't like was that weird slow-mo moment before all that went down. It just felt weird. It reminded me of that weird shot in A New Hope when you see the mind probe and it like zooms in on the needle. It just feels like it's not really in that style of what we've been watching. I don't know, it just seems off to me. I also thought it was really smart how the Ugnaught won't take payment. He tells the Mando that you're my guest and I have to help you. It's a nice juxtaposition against the Mando, who's kind of a dude for hire in a way. We do see that there's more to him than money in the first episode, but at the same time he is really like about getting paid. And the Ugnaught is like, no, I don't want to serve anybody. I spent my life doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. But at the very end, he tells the Mando that he thinks the kid should survive. He should turn in the bounty. He should be rewarded, but he should keep the baby alive. And when he says that to him, I think it's sort of like a tacit conversation where he's saying, hey man, if you want to repay me, don't kill the baby Yoda. In the very end, as he's taking off and flying out into space, he kind of touches the bassinet and shakes it just to see if the kid's alive and breathing. And then he sees it breathe almost like a new father. And I thought that was a really touching and telling moment about how the Mandalorian, you know, is and how he sees things and how he is a person underneath the mask. So yeah, like I said, it felt like an Indiana Jones homage and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I wasn't sure if the show was going to be able to maintain the level of quality of the first episode or if it was going to get boring or tired in terms of the premise. And right now I could tell you that I do not think it's going to at all. That episode surprised me so much and went in such an interesting direction that I am completely floored by it. I think it's one of the coolest Star Wars things we've ever had. Honestly, I'm really, really jazzed. And I can't wait for the next episode. And I think it's the real deal. So I'm pleasantly surprised. And I think that there's a chance that Star Wars on television might be the best way to consume Star Wars in the future. So I can't be more happy. One last thing before I go. So toy run's going on. We donate Star Wars toys to hospitalized children and their siblings, and those toys are delivered by costumed characters, and it makes a difference in those kids' lives. And so if you want to help out this holiday season, I would really appreciate it, and so would the kids. So please consider donating, and you could follow the directions I will put up on the screen here. And if you like the video, make sure you like it. Let me know what you're looking for in future videos. Let me know what you liked in the episode that we watched tonight. And most of all, make sure you subscribe to my dumb channel. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Not a baby Yoda anymore, Mom.